Hilda, Chapter 6, Home, Part 3. In that moment, I realized how fragile everything was: the safety of the basement, the conversations, the hope. It felt so fragile. I needed to breathe, to stay present, but as I gasped for the air, the darkness beckoned, threatening to engulf me. Hilda! Bauer's voice pierced through the chaos again, more insistent now. I could hear the worry racing in her words, and I clung to that sound, desperate to remain anchored in this moment. Stay with me, Hilda! I knew I wasn't there for a while, suspended in a haze between consciousness and darkness, but when I finally opened my eyes, the first thing I saw was Bauer's concerned face, her eyes wide with relief. She's awake! She's awake! She exclaimed, her voice a soothing balm against the chaos of my thoughts. It was her brother who was rubbing my back, his touch surprisingly gentle, trying to ease the tension that still clung to my body. As soon as I registered his presence, Bauer shifted closer, wrapping her arms around me and pulling me into a tight embrace. I clung to her as hard as I could, the warmth of her body grounding me in that moment, reminding me I wasn't alone in this terrifying world. Time felt distorted. The fear and confusion from moments before seemed to fade into background as I focused on her heartbeat against my ear. We remained like that for a while, wrapped in a cocoon of solace amidst the storm raging outside. Eventually, her brother cleared his throat, the sound pulling me back to the reality of our situation. Someone needs to tell me what's going on, he said, his tone serious, demanding clarity. I shifted slightly, now able to sit beside Bauer. She turned to me, concern etched across her features. Are you okay? She asked softly, her voice a gentle inquiry that wrapped around me like a protective shield. I nodded, though the tremor in my hands betrayed my nerves. The weight of the moment settled heavily upon us, the implications of my hiding there passing down like a heavy clock. We both turned to her brother, the silence hanging in the air like an unspoken agreement of the danger we were in. Bauer began to speak, her voice steady but filled with an urgency that betrayed the fear underlying her calm exterior. She's my student. She had to hide somewhere. The Gestapo is looking for her. His expression shifted immediately, serious and floating its features. Do you realize what they'd do to you if they find out you're hiding her? He asked, his voice sharp and filled with concern. The reality of his words crashed over me like a wave, and I could feel the chill of fear creeping back in. Bauer held his gaze, unyielding. I knew the risks, but I couldn't just let them take her. She's not safe out there. He shook his head, frustration evident in the furrow of his brow. You're putting yourself in danger, Marta. If they come looking for her, they'll find you too. You could end up in a prison cell, or worse. I sat quietly, absorbing the exchange, the gravity of my presence in their home weighing heavily on my conscience. The last thing I wanted was to bring danger to Bauer or her family. I'm sorry, I whispered, my voice barely above audible. I didn't mean to put you at risk. Bauer turned to me, her expression softening. Hilda, this isn't your fault. His brother's frustration broke through the tense atmosphere, his voice sharp. It's not her fault? Are you responsible for someone else's kid? Is she going to stay in your basement for life? Bauer's response was immediate, fierce. Yes, I am responsible for her. Why is it your business? Her protective instinct flared, and I could feel the intensity of the moment wrapping around us like a thick fog. Guilt surged within me, heavy and suffocating. I had inadvertently thrust them into this chaotic situation, and the weight of my presence was almost unbearable. I'll try to do something, I managed to say, my voice shaky. I won't be staying here forever. His gaze hardened. Yes, you definitely will manage doing something. How old are you? 12? Bruno, this is my house and she's just a child. Don't you dare speak to her like that. Bauer's voice boomed, a declaration that cut through the tension and silenced us all. The force of her shout echoed in the small basement, a testament to the fierce loyalty she felt toward me. After a moment, the silence hung thick, heavy with unspoken words and emotions. Bauer took a deep breath, her expression softening slightly. I'll figure out a way. I'll help her flee the country, and if you can help, just leave. Bruno stood still, the storm of emotions crossing his face. He seemed torn, grappling with the risk and the reality of what we were facing. After a moment, he shifted his gaze to me. I could sense the weight of his contemplation. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he spoke. "I think I know a way to send her out of the country," he said slowly, as if weighing each word carefully. "But I need a few days," he added, his voice steady but cautious. "It won't be easy, and we have to be careful. There are too many eyes watching right now." "Days? For doing what?" Bauer echoed, a mixture of relief and concern flashing across her face. Bruno sighed, running a hand through his hair, frustration evident in his expression. "I need to make some connections, see if I can arrange safe passage, but it won't be simple, you have to trust me." Bauer exchanged a glance with me, their eyes searching mine for any signs of doubt. I shook my head, my resolve hardening. "I trust you," I said quietly, though a part of me still trembled at the thought of leaving the only place that felt even remotely safe. Bruno nodded, his expression shifting to one of determination. "Then, we'll do this, but you have to stay hidden for now. If the Gestapo comes looking and finds you here—" He let implication hang in the air, a reminder of the danger that lurked just outside the door. "I promise," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. I couldn't afford to be reckless, not when there was a chance, however small, that I could escape this nightmare. After he left, I sat in the dimly lit basement, my gaze fixed on a spot in the corner, lost in thought. The reality of what lay ahead felt surreal, running away, escaping the life I had known. It seemed like something out of a story, a fantasy I had longed for but never truly believed I would be faced with. Bao's voice broke through my reverie. "Are you fine?" she asked, her tone laced with concern. I turned to look at her, her figure still hooded against the light from the top of the stairs. "I'm good," I replied. "You made me scared," she said, her expression softening as she stepped closer. "I thought you were going to die." A smile tugged at my lips, a bittersweet humor rising within me. "I wish I was," I said, the weight of my situation pressing down harder than ever. Bawa came and sat next to me, her presence comforting. "I'm happy that you're not," she replied earnestly, the warmth in her voice soothing my frayed nerves. I turned to her, uncertainty creeping in. "Did I mess it up now that your brother knows about me?" The thought nagged at me, the fear that I had burdened them further with my presence. She shook her head, a firmness in her gaze. "No, you didn't. They took our own mom from us, so he doesn't like them either." Her words hung in the air, a shared understanding of loss that connected us in our struggle. A sigh escaped my lips as I leaned back against the cold wall. "You never told me exactly what happened. You aren't German, are you?" My curiosity pierced the silence, a need to understand the woman who had opened her home to me and the horrors that had shaped her life. Bauer hesitated, her expression momentarily clouded by memories. No, I'm not," she finally admitted, her voice quieter now, weighed down by the past. "My mother was Jewish. She was suspended from teaching when the laws changed, and we lived in constant fear. When the roundups began, she was taken away." My heart sank at her revelation. "I'm so sorry," I murmured, the gravity of her story settling heavily within me. Bauer continued, her voice steadier but filled with pain. "I was just a child when they came for her. My father tried to hide us, but it was too late. They took her, and I haven't seen her since, and, well, I hope she's alive at least." The weight of her loss was palpable, and I could sense the deep scars it had left behind. "It's why I can just sit back and do nothing while people like you are in danger," she said firmly. "I refuse to let anyone else suffer if I can help it." I nodded, the stretch of her resolve igniting something within me. "I want to help too," I said, the words spilling out before I fully realized their weight. "I don't want to just hide here." Barra looked at me, surprise flickering across her face. "You're brave, Hilda, but first you need to rest. You've been through too much today." As I settled into a more comfortable position beside her, I felt a bond forming. In that moment, I realized that perhaps home wasn't just a physical place, It could also be found in the relationships we built and the people who stood by us in the darkest times.